listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio
It's
station.
Love Jones. It's Love Jones. Check us out as we combine our hit music with a love story. Live with Candy. It's Love Jones. Call in and participate at 326-0271 on Global Radio 99.5 FM.
Ladies and gentlemen, Refugee Camp presents
For all relationships, for regrets, for disagreements, for breaking up and making up, for all those out there jonesing for love, it's Love Jones right here, right now on Global 99.5. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Hello to our Facebook watchers out there, our live watchers. It's a pleasure to be in your company. Welcome to another edition of Love Jones right here on 99.5 FM. Magic Mike's in the building. Whoopty woo.
Link.
You had to take it, right? Of course, Candy sitting in with you. Now, I want you to take note. Got a lot of hits yesterday, and people are saying, Candy, you need to say those numbers slowly. All right, so I'm having a little bit of an issue with the 431. So I'm going to give you an alternative number to use for today and here on in until further notice. 812-1787. 812-1787. So that's your text and your WhatsApp line. So you can hit us up on that. You can call in live at 326-0272. Like us on Facebook. And of course, you can go on Global's page and watch the show now, or you can do so later. And of course, we've also got our emails where you can continue to write into us and give your feedback, as well as share your personal stories. Very Cool Candy at Yahoo, as well as Love Jones Crew at Gmail. So what's good on a Thursday, Magic Mike? Hey?
You finished giving out the number?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything good. What you saying? Everything cool?
I read it. Yeah, man. Listen. I got somebody yesterday. People was like, but y'all was a riot yesterday though. Hilarious.
What we talking about yesterday?
We're talking about pet peeves. Yeah. So people were saying, it did give light to it, but, which was funny. But, looking back at it and really thinking about it, there are definitely a lot of issues when it comes to the way, especially I got a lot of feedback on that point that you made about, how people just don't allow other people to just live, just be in the relationships that they want, choose the people they want to be with. There's always commentary, and a lot of it comes from people that are unhappy and dissatisfied with their own lives, and misery loves company.
But it was interesting when you said that people, make comments because they want to be in that position.
Exactly.
So I found that,
like, wow.
And I just thought people were just being
nasty.
Oh,
but
man,
a lot of times,
that's
the psychology behind it. A lot of times you hear people say, man, I into the whole relationship thing. Ain't nobody into that. And check them. A lot of times they're single and they've had issues with trying to lock down, the kind of relationship that they want. And so if you can't attain it yourself, you kind of naysay about it. You talk negatively about it because, you make it seem like who wants to be in that? And when the real honest truth of it is, you do. Who doesn't? I mean, I think relationships have been rough for a lot of people. It's no easy task. I don't care what anybody says. This whole thing about relationships, once you find the right one, because remember I was telling you about that article that a friend sent me about the 3 times that you're supposed to fall in love.
Right.
The first time that you fall in love, according to the article, is saying that it's going to probably be while you're in high school or shortly thereafter.
Puppy love, eh?
Yeah, it's kind of like a puppy love thing. It's like all these ideals and dreams that you've seen on movies and Harlequin and all of these things. Disney, the princess and the frog and magical things happen. This is that kind of love, what you think. But really, not so much.
No deal.
Yeah, it really isn't working that way. You're not really that happy, but it's like your first love. You've never felt this way before. So whatever is rolling.
But is that considered a first love though? Is that considered a love?
Do you even know what love is right then and there?
There you go.
You
So
know
that's
what I
why I asked. I mean,
Right.
is that considered
But
love? though?
according to the article, it's your first love, and it's that fantasy type life that you're trying to
Okay.
live. And they're saying most of the time that typically never pans out because it's not realistic goals that you've set as far as the relationship is concerned. Everything is based on these fantastic thoughts of what love should be and what this person should be, and the great expectations typically fall short.
Remember Alyssa Milano?
Yes.
That was my first love.
Oh, wait a minute. What was it? Who's the boss saying?
Yes.
Was that it?
You remember her?
I do. And then she was on, what was the show with the
With the three
witches?
girls.
Yeah, with the three witches. I
Charmed.
can't remember. Charmed, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
she was going through a little sexy
That's my-
phase on
that's
that.
my
That was
first
your,
love.
that was your boo thing?
Yeah, what?
Actually, she
We had
said
we had,
she
we
seems
had
like
a lot of
there's that
intimate
thing
moments.
going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
she
can
wouldn't
believe
know.
but she doesn't know it. But you
She-
guys
she- yeah,
shared some
yeah,
stuff.
she don't know.
I get it. And then they're saying that the second love is supposed to be, they're saying this is your hard love. This is where it's deceit. There's lies.
Madonna.
There's
my second love.
disappointment. Oh, you thought she was a virgin? Is that it? Is that it?
She deceived me in so many ways.
Wow. See, that's
She don't know it. She wouldn't know either.
She wasn't there again.
Yeah, but
But it's what you felt.
yeah.
I get it. I understand it. But this was the hard love.
The Madonna.
That's
Yeah.
the love that they're talking about. That teaches you some things, that puts you through some ish. Now, mind you, the second love, you think you're doing it so different from the first love, but you're really not. You still brought a lot of that baggage and stuff from the first one. You brought it on over to the second one, and you think you're doing it different. But things are pretty much the same. And with this relationship, you gotta prove that you were right this time. So instead of trying to make the actual relationship work, you just want things to work. So you just kind of go along with the motions.
Yeah, the memories are coming. Fuck.
Hush, it's okay. Woo, woo, woo. I got you. I'm here for you.
Woo. All right, now third love.
Breathe. And then your third love, according to the article, the third love is the love. This is it. This is the one that breaks the mold. It's the one that came out of nowhere. It's the one that you didn't really expect. This person is different, even though you want to see them the way that the rest of them were. The person shows you all the time, despite whatever expectations. No, I'm not perfect, and yet you still love them.
Oh,
It's it's that easy breezy
oh.
type
Well,
of type of
I
love.
still trying to get over Madonna.
Okay,
Yeah, so.
she's a hard chick to get over.
Yeah. She ain't easy.
Yeah. No.
You know what? Interesting enough, a friend of mine yesterday, they listened to the show for the first time, and they had a question for me, for us.
Right.
They asked me the question. I was like, when they asked the question, I was like, I can let you know tomorrow.
Oh, it's one of those questions.
Yes. There was like, how do you have a renewed mind in a relationship that's been, let's say, a long relationship,
Yeah.
where there's been hurt? You want to be this person, but there's been hurt.
Right.
If you meet someone else, you have the renewed mind.
Mm-hmm.
But why the person asks, why can't I have a renewed mind with the person I'm already in a relationship with? I was like, hold on. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll be back. Yeah. I think that's how we end up in a lot of the issues that we get into when it comes to infidelity. And the reason why I say that, I think when we say infidelity, obviously the most negative things come to mind.
Right.
But I think the reason why we end up getting caught up in a lot of the situations is that renewed feeling, that feeling of breath of fresh air, this newness with this person that doesn't have the baggage of hurt. You told me this, you said this to me. And even though I'm with you, I've never forgotten that hurtful thing that you said to me. I haven't forgotten the things that we've done to each other. They still exist, and we continue, even if we talk about them, I think we kind of sweep them under the rug for peace sake. But that hurt is still there. So you're kind of living in a sense of dysfunction. And it's hard to have a renewed sense when it's still the same old person. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you're still who you are. They're still who they are. And even if you take on new feelings, new emotions, a new way of going at and approaching your relationship, it can only work if the both of you have got the renewed sense. It's fine and good. Like, it's like having a house that is dilapidated and falling down, and you put this new fantastic Indian carpet, these fantastic white leather couches, but the structure is falling down around you. You understand what I'm saying? So unless you, as the fantastic interior that's being put in, and that person as the outer fortress rebuilding come together to make it so, you can't change anything. And unfortunately, most of the time, I've seen relationships are that way. When one person is on that road to recovery and change, the other person tends not to be.
So you don't think one person can change the dynamics of the relationship?
I think the possibility is there, but I think a lot of time people lose steam because it's such hard work. It's hard work when the two of you are working.
But here's the thing: if you like, let's say, I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Maud Fertel. He's a marriage coach.
Yeah.
And he has a program. He has a loaner program, which he called the Lone Ranger, where, and I was looking at it the other day, where he says that you can fix the marriage by yourself.
He's talking about having a sense of functionality and change within yourself in order to exhibit change, to encourage change in the other, but not necessarily that's your purpose. Your purpose is to just correct the things that are dysfunctional within yourself. And hopefully with correcting those things, it's going to spill over into the correction of the marriage itself. But what I'm saying to you is, and not saying discrediting what he said, but through my personal experience as well as working with other people, that is similar to being in a boxing ring. And here you are, you're boxing, the other person is just kind of leaned up on the rings, legs crossed, chilling. That's not a match, and that's not fighting for. You can change, and you can do all the things that you want to, but that's what marriage is. You cannot say that you're solely doing something. I think that kind of goes against everything what marriage and a relationship is supposed to be. It's supposed to be teamwork, and you want to know that the other person sees this as something worth being in, as something worth fighting for, and doing their own work. With you working, I think it's always great to realize certain things within yourself that need to change. But a lot of times, depending on whom it is you're dealing with and the psychology that this person is dealing with, they see that as, yeah, go ahead and change because it's you're the problem anyway.
Right.
Well, you see what I'm saying? So it can actually, depending on what the issues that exist within that marriage or relationship, you can actually add to the issues that exist by doing just that. So I think, anytime we come up against certain programs, I think a lot of times it depends on the kinds of things that you're experiencing within that, whether that's past or present within your marriage or relationship. That would be a telltale as to whether this program is a right fit for you. I think a lot of times we look at different programs as it comes to counseling with marriage and all of that. And you figure because it's called marriage counseling or it pertains to fixing one's relationship, that means it's going to be a fit for you. And that's not necessarily the case. You have to look into these programs when you choose to go into them, and you have to make sure that it is tailored towards fixing certain issues that exist within your relationship in order for you to get the best results that you want. Mm-hmm. So, that's just my opinion, but that's the way that I see those.
I totally see what you're saying. It's like I said, man, when you reference the boxing match in the ring by yourself, you swinging, you working up a sweat, and the other person's just there like, check this fool out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Let me know when you finish. It doesn't make any sense. And they may see you, and at some point they say, anyhow, let me try get up and do a little something. But at that point, you've been swinging, you've been sweating, tired. You've been hitting, you're tired.
I don't know if you remember when I said in a marriage, it's rare when two persons are on the same page.
Yeah.
You got either a husband fighting and the wife's not, then the wife's fighting, the husband's not. Mm-hmm. So it's very rare that you find both persons on the same page and fighting for the marriage or.
Unfortunately, I have to agree. I've seen that time and time again. It's wonderful when we can see it work the way that we want it to, where the two people actually understand what it is that we want, and it's really worth going after. But a lot of times that's the way it works. And unfortunately, the other person gets it after the person is done, after they've already checked out, and I don't want anybody to feel as if because someone is physically still there, that means that they're there. A lot of times, the physical doesn't come until years later when they retract. But a lot of times the mental, the soul, the heart that has gone into this relationship is gone.
Yeah.
And there's just a shell of what used to be.
Right. And that's happening quite a bit.
It is.
Quite a bit. And I don't understand why people don't. I mean, I
Is it
I
that people are a
understand.
sucker for bad treatment? Is that it? Because I had a conversation, JT and I were talking before the show started, and we were just talking about different instances where people keep saying, hey, I want my marriage to work. Hey, I want a great relationship. I want this great kind of guy. And then when those kinds of things come along, when your partner begins working and try to work with you, there you are not doing the work. So it's a lot of this going on, I think, in
Right.
our
There's no
society,
action.
and there's nothing to go behind
Yes,
it.
yes.
People talk a lot.
Yeah, with everything.
Yeah.
I find that in business.
Mm-hmm.
I find that in friendship.
Yep.
I find that it's just that's just a way of life for
People talk a lot,
for a lot of
yeah.
people.
But when-
including
when-
myself, when I say include myself, I'm not, saying I don't do it,
Right.
but I'm just saying it's just the way of life. We talk so much, and then the action doesn't justify what we're saying,
Correct.
or matches what we're saying.
Indeed.
So yeah, relationships, business, and I've seen a lot of business.
Hmm.
So
You know, people live off of big dreams, and unfortunately, relationships just can't hack it with that anymore. I think before, must see in the 70s or so, 60s. I think maybe you can work with relationships off of the fantastical aspects, but I think in this day and time that we're in, that's no longer plausible. Relationships is going to take work, and it's going to take the both of you. And sometimes just the two of you can't work. You got to introduce yet another neutral party to help you.
there you go.
Yeah, so it just isn't going to do it. We've got a call on the line. Good morning. Welcome to Love Jones. How can we assist?
Just call my name and I'll be there.
How did I know? She said, hey, baby, what's up?
Good morning. How are
What's up,
you?
my friend? I'm
All right.
pretty good. I was listening to you guys. I like just to touch on two aspects of what you said. But the first one has to do with, of course, the fact that we human beings are imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, nobody will get it right all the time.
Right.
And sometimes when we think we should get it right, we all disappoint ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I can definitely write chapters on myself in that respect.
Right.
But the thing about what you were saying about, and I call it being a sucker for punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's based on us being imperfect beings. But the question still needs to be asked, though. If person A knows that their companion is abusive, whether verbally or physically or emotionally abusive, why stay? Desperate? Worthy? Necessary? I don't know. For one to stay in a situation where they're being abused. Any of you can answer that for me?
I think one is expected.
By whom?
By whom? That's the question.
Society?
No,
Yeah.
to be honest, we've been sold this notion so many times that the fact that love is imperfect. Now hear me out. We keep hearing that people are imperfect, love is imperfect, right? That's the notion, and that's the premise in which we build most of our relationships, our friendships, even with our children. We know that no matter how much love and what we do for them, they're going to mess up because they're human beings.
Right.
Okay. And we are, as human beings, the expectation is there that if I make a mistake, that someone will be forgiving of me. That's what I want. And so a lot of times, I think with things that happen within the relationship, you say once love is in existence, then I should give this opportunity for this person to be better, to do better. Maybe it's something that I need to do. Maybe it's something that I need to change. I know that this person is capable of change. One day the light bulb will go off because love exists within this relationship.
Right.
It's the notion,
So
and it's the
that
premise.
hope?
It's always that hope and that expectation that I will receive love in the way in which I'm giving it.
All of which are right and proper.
It is.
But-
Unfortunately, there's also a psychology that goes with it. There was this thing a couple of years ago where, and I don't think we talk about it as much, but it still exists, where women had this thing, unless a man is aggressive with me, unless he does
Or beat
hit,
her. You
push,
don't love her?
grab, shove, he doesn't love me. He ain't showing that interest. unless he is superlatively jealous. Where you going? Who you going with? He don't care. And that's the psychosis. And sometimes it is one that has been catchy, but it is nonetheless.
But
People would rather
even in
overly
today's society, you
people
think?
would rather over jealous and overzealous rather than nothing.
Oh, so they settle for bad because they can't get good.
Well, there is that, or this is the lesser of the evils that I've experienced. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
I've had a man before. If we're coming from that aspect, I've had a man before that is non-acceptant of the fact that I have a few children. I've had a man that is in a position where he's refusing to assist me with certain needs and necessities that I may have.
Right.
I've had a man before that is unwilling to accept certain physical deficiencies that I may have, or certain imperfections. I've had a man before that says that I'm not intellectual enough. I don't have enough personality. Here's a man that's accepting of all these things. And what's a little smack now and again? What's a little you stink self? What's a little? I'm telling you, that's the way that people see these things. If I had a vehicle, if I've had so many lemons in my life, and here's this one car and the back windows can't go down. You understand what I'm saying? But it looks nice. Then why not? It's the best. It's the best I've ever had. It's the best that I've ever had. So isn't that means that it's the best?
But I think nowadays a lot of people are no longer settling for abusiveness, because I think a lot of women have woken up to the reality that they deserve to be treated well. Even like Regina Bell says, hey, it's better to be alone than to be unhappy.
Unfortunately, here's the thing. I think they've traded physical abuse for mental and spiritual abuse.
Wow.
And emotional. I think we all have. I think men have as well.
Yeah, true.
I think men have been experiencing an emotional kind of abuse for a very long time, but it was not proper as a man to speak on it.
Yeah, like when a woman tell a man, you ain't no man because you can't provide.
Exactly. You ain't nothing.
Let me tell you what. You know what that does to a man?
Exactly. And that's why they say it. Let me tell you. That's why women say it. That's the purpose. They might not understand the full gouge of that, but they know that it's going to hurt and it's going to be long-term effective. That's why it's said.
As a weapon.
Exactly.
That don't, boy.
That's why it's said.
That could kill a man.
So that's in a sense an emotional kind of abuse.
Yeah.
And for a man to hear that repetitively.
Yeah.
And I will conclude on this note. As an example, I heard of a situation years ago. I can't remember all the details because it was quite a while back. But there was a situation with this lady, or this female, who was being abused.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly and unfortunately, she is in her grave today because of the abuse. But the person would not leave the relationship for I think one of those reasons you'd mentioned earlier. But basically because she knew the person, she was used to the person, and she probably didn't think she could have done any better. That's probably someone might not have loved her.
Yes.
And she's in the grave. She's in the grave today.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I mean, let me just encourage. Not ask why, but encourage anybody, male or female, who might be in a relationship like that. My brother, my sister, you are worth being treated well.
Mm-hmm.
And if your companion isn't treating you well or refuses to treat you well, leave him alone, leave her alone. Be by yourself at the very least, or find somebody else. As long as it's not a marital relationship, just walk away easily. But of course, in a marital context, I support people leaving those abusive spouses when they are threatening their bodies and their lives, because marriage is not supposed to be like that.
Agreed.
I just wanted to encourage people, man. Let us find, I think a Lonely Hearts Club or something would be quite appropriate in the Bahamas today for us to get together, and people come together with like minds, and learn learn about one another without the expectation of proving themselves to each other. And then in that context and in that atmosphere, I think a lot of us would be able to, take our time even to be more respectful and more productive and efficient in the choices we make.
Agreed.
Thank you for your time as always.
And thank you as well.
Bye-bye.
This is Love Jones on Global 99.5. 812-1787 is your text and WhatsApp. And of course, you can call in live at 326-0272. Mike, let me ask you something. Do you think that a lot of times with these situations, age is a factor? When you get to a certain point in life, you just kind of settle into whatever, like this comfortable state of, well, whatever it is, it'll be. Is that it? Are we more willing to change? Are we willing to get out of certain relationships in a younger state versus when we get a little bit older? We've been through a couple of things we kind of deal with a lot more as far as people speaking to you negatively, dealing with certain stuff. Is that what it is?
I think age has a lot to do with it, because if you're young and all that, you haven't experienced much. So definitely you're going to be excited about, not even excited, but you're going to be geared up to make changes.
If this don't work, I could go. When
go.
you get a little older, you're a little more tired.
A little more tired. You're tired.
We've got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Love Jones.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is my first time calling, but I love your show.
Thank you so much.
And I was listening to the gentleman before who was asking the question of why women stay in an abusive relationship.
Yes.
And, nobody wants to be in an abusive relationship. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody wants to be.
No.
But what I've learned a long time ago is this organ that we have in the body, the heart.
Oh, yes.
As much as we like to think
the great
that
betrayer.
we control it,
mm-hmm.
we doesn't control it.
Right.
You cannot leave anybody until you fall out of love. It's difficult to be in love with somebody, regardless of what they are doing.
Yes.
And just leave. It's very, very difficult. Now, yes, I agree with him. Mm-hmm. I encourage anybody, but everybody, not to stay in an abusive relationship, whether they are man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
But my dear, this organ called the heart is a serious thing to deal with.
I agree totally.
It's a serious thing. We don't control it.
Yes.
And until that heart give up on that person,
you will not.
It's very difficult.
But does the heart ever give up on the person? Because you mentioned about being in love with a person.
I think that's the key. You need to fall out. If once you're in love with someone, I think the likelihood that you will leave or you will see things for its full clarity is.
But do you see, if you fall out of love with somebody, do you cease loving them?
No, you'll always love them, but it's a stark difference between being in love with someone and loving them.
And loving someone.
And I think that's why a lot of people don't leave, because they still love that person even though they're not in love with that person.
I think, just like the young lady said, being in love and loving somebody is two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because any relationship that I've been, I still love the person, but I'm not in love with them. I still will do for them, but I'm not crazy about them.
Right. I can do without.
So, right. Yes. I can do without them. But we often end relationship wrong. We often end relationship in a fight, in a row. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
We try more often to end a relationship being friends. Then sometimes it doesn't turn out as bad as it often does.
I agree, but I think the problem is a lot of times most people prefer to end in a fight because now I have something that is driving me. You see, anger is such a powerful emotion. I think it's one of the only other ones that can stand up towards love and affection. Unfortunately, they're on different sides of the spectrum, but they are equally powerful. And I think a lot of time people prefer to end on that sour note because now I've got that driving force to keep me away from you. If we end as friends or we end on an amicable basis, I still have that soft spot for you. That's the way that a lot of people see it. And you tend to fall back into old tendencies. But if you're angry with this person and you have this bit of vengeance towards them, it's easier to make that break, to make that detachment, to run. Unfortunately, but I agree with you that we have to start changing the way that we come out of love so that we can fully close the door and do it with comfort so that we can enter into another relationship without a lot of the baggage that we tend to go into it with.
Well said, because we only take it on to the next relationship.
Absolutely.
But again, I would like to end to say, I'd like to end this conversation with this organ. Just this organ called the heart.
Sound like you wrote a book.
Right? Thank you so much. I truly appreciate the comments indeed.
Okay then.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Same to you.
I agree with boy, the heart is yours, but it is betray you so often. Once your mind will tell you, sit down, right? Your mind will say, look here, look here, look here. He does this. He does that. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. I ain't happy because of blah, 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 right? You say that, make up in your mind. When he get home this evening, when I see him, that's that.
You know, someone create an app.
My mind will tell me that.
Someone create an app.
And
that
then
could turn off. That could the sense. You know,
yeah, I wish it
sensitivity
could.
of your heart.
No.
You don't think so?
No. They have this app now where, you know, when you break up with people, I know they have an app now where once you key it in, they don't allow you to dial. Because, you know, sometimes when you're feeling little.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Now you can't dial even if you want to. So when you're feeling that tenderness drop back on you and those old memories start to go and you go dial, your phone be like, nah, bruh. Yeah, no.
And you break up with her?
Yeah, you tell me you broke up. So
Yeah,
now you can't dial. Yeah, no happening. Yes, that.
What would that happen now?
Yeah. We'll look it up after the show. But, you know, I think these are the things. And I understand, you know, where JT was coming from. But I agree with the lady that phoned in because I went through that kind of situation myself where, and unfortunately, this thing with abuse and all of that, it has no face. A lot of times it is the most intellectual person, the most psychologically grounded person that are involved in these crazy relationships that are a cycle of mistreatment and the worst sides of relationships. And you would never expect that because you're like, well, don't you know better?
Yeah. And the thing about it is, you know, when we talk about, I think we talked about it before when we asked which abuse do you think is worse?
It's worse, yeah.
And I think we agreed that the mental abuse is far worse because it's a consistent, it's consistent.
And you take it with you everywhere. And I agree. I am not, and we are not downplaying the physical abuse in any way. It's awful. You know, I think we both know people that have been through that and that have been harmed in the worst way from physical abuse.
But the mental brings on the physical.
And that's the thing with physical. A lot of times the physical has those mental scars as well.
Right.
But emotional abuse with someone making you feel less than so often, with someone telling you you're ugly and no one else is going to want you. That plays into the fact of why you stay, because in your mind, at least I know what I have, and he may beat me or she may hit me, because there are a lot of men that are suffering from abuse now where they have things thrown at them. They're slapped at will. They have their things like their vehicles and their clothes. That's abuse as well. That's mistreatment as well. And there are a lot of men that go through that on a day-to-day basis. And then they say, man, my wife just crazy, man. She's passionate about me. No, boo.
No.
But see, that's it. We downplay things.
Yeah.
And that's how we end up in the situations that hit the headlines. It didn't just happen. A lot of these things have been on their way to happening for a very long time.
But how do you break it? You see what I'm saying? How do you break it?
Boy, it takes the strength and fortitude that it takes sometimes to walk away
Some cojones,
from a relationship. And a lot of times, you know, when you still love someone, like you said, you convince yourself that it's okay and they are going to change. And that hope is a powerful thing because it keeps it alive every day. And if you just see the slightest glimmer to you, we're making movements.
Yes.
Something's
Isn't that
changing.
crazy, eh?
But that's what the heart does. It tricks you a lot of times, unfortunately. You only have to see the little glimmer of something to tell yourself, I'm not stupid. I'm here for a reason. And this person is changing. Look at what they did the other day. Now, that's far different than the things that they've done before. Mind you, it had nothing to do with you. It just was a happenstance. But it's what you need to believe because you want it so badly. Absolutely.
Yeah, act of goodness or whatever towards you.
So it's hard. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we love the things that are not best for us. We love the things that are not best for us. And a lot of the times, that's the thing that we fall the hardest for.
Suckers for punishment.
There it is.
Isn't that what JT says?
That's human beings. you know, it's interesting, and a lot of times it's sad, but it's true. And not only until you get out of those situations, you can look back and you can see them for what they were and what they have been. But I found that anybody can tell you over and over again why you will not move, you will not shake, you will not get out until you yourself are ready. Just ain't happening. Just not happening.
We got another caller. Dun, 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 dun.
Good morning. Thank you
Good
for
morning,
calling into
Andy.
Love
How you
Jones.
doing?
What's happening? How you doing?
Good. What's up, Marty Mike?
Hey, what's up? How's everything?
Horsey man in today.
No horsey duty in today. Tomorrow.
I just thought to let you guys know you got the best relationship show on the air.
Thank
And I
you.
think the reason why is because, I mean, like so many experiences that people are going through, you guys already been through it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you could relate and, you know, and then people could understand exactly what you're saying and where you're coming from, you see?
Right.
So I think that's very important. And the reason men don't really report abuse is because they're too ashamed. If you go to the police station and tell the police station that wife is abusing you, what you think the police could do?
Yeah, agreed.
You know, everybody's going to just be laughing at you. Oh, he's a little sissy this and a little sissy that, you know what I mean?
Agreed.
So that's why most men don't report abuse. But I recommend anybody that's going through abuse, whether a man or woman, you know, just to, you know, try to get out of the relationship as best you could.
I appreciate that so very much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening. We
Anyway,
appreciate the
You
compliments.
guys enjoy the intro to the work.
You as
Yeah,
well.
man.
We will
Thanks a lot.
try. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Let me say again, 812-1787, as well as 326-0272 for calling in live text to WhatsApp. You're listening to Love Jones on 99.5. Listen, let me hit you with something that came to me this morning. Here's a man, right, that says that he is going through a situation, and he said he is a bit, you know, hesitant on talking about it because he knows that he's going to be viewed in a particular way. And he's hoping that though we are willing to hear him out and give some advice in reference to just what the situation is.
Okay.
His wife has she's going through stage 4 cancer. I think he said it was uterine cancer. And so, you know, with working with her and a lot of the different treatments have not taken. And so I think at this point he's made up in his mind, more than likely it's more so making comfortable, you know, that kind of thing. They've got more than 15 years under their belt, married, and at least another 4 or 5 just in a relationship. So that's about more than 20 years that they've had together. He is saying that he was in a group, a chatter group. I call it chatter, you know, because of our Love Jones. He was in a group where, you know, it was people that either were sick or people that dealt with people that were sick, spouses that have passed, all these other stuff. We were just talking about when JT said a Lonely Hearts group where people can kind of get together and reinforce these positive things. And so he said in doing that and going through the meetings, he met a lady whose husband had passed away from prostate cancer. And they'd been talking and hanging out, and he's finding himself kind of developing feelings for this woman, right? He said just recently they took their relationship to another level. He's saying the guilt is eating him to bits and pieces right now. But at the same token, he wants so badly to feel wanted and needed outside of that caretaker position. He still loves his wife. He's still committed to her. He's still giving the things that she's needing, but she cannot return those things because she just has to focus on getting through her day-to-day. So he says he knows if he shares that with anyone, obviously he's going to be the villain. Wow, your wife is sick. How could you? He said, but coming from just that aspect of being a man, I feel like crying right now because it's like,
I can see it.
Just coming from that aspect of being a man, he said, it's been really hard taking care and watching someone that you love suffer in this way and deteriorate, and knowing that she's not going to be here soon. Being a person that's always been in a coupling situation, he said he barely knows how to function being by himself, you know? And this woman, having gone through, they've connected in so many ways. He didn't expect it. It just came out of the blue. But what does he do? Because she's giving him the strength and the fortitude to be what he needs for his wife, but he still knows that it's wrong. I was like, yeah. So then there's that. So his thing is, what does one do? You know, and we always are supposed to say, you looking at me like, yeah, that's on you, bro.
No, I don't. That's,
no,
listen. And I understand the human side of it. And I understand, I mean.
Before we say anything, I just want people to understand this. And I always say this as a precursor to anything that we say. I want people to understand that we are about the human factor. I know the things that you're supposed to say. I know that the things that we deem right, the things that we deem wrong. But the problem is the human aspect of things.
We still human.
It changes those things. And I'm not giving right for any act or giving wrong to any act at this point. I'm just saying that as a precursor, that regardless of whatever situation, there's still human beings behind each story that we tell. And obviously, for someone to write something such as that and to put that all on Front Street, that couldn't have been easy, especially when you're going to be seen as the villain.
That's heavy. That's heavy on me thinking about it.
I tell you,
because I was putting myself in his shoes while you were talking, and I don't. Wow. Like,
okay, let me share something. Boy, I wasn't supposed to share. I always share things I'm supposed to share. Must see why Stacey says fill cups. Give tea. When I first went through the stuff that I was going through, I remember my husband had left his phone in my Jeep, right? And I'm not really that kind of be in your junk, but there was just something about it that nagged me. And I remember I went and I drove back to drop it off at work because I dropped him off at work. And that's when we were heavy with the diagnosis and he was having an issue dealing with and all that other stuff like that. And I remember going in the phone and I was like, all right, it's been pretty cool. I was proud of that. And then I just clicked on something else and there were these dating websites that he'd been on, right? And so my heart sunk. Now, mind you, I would be the first to say we didn't have the greatest marriage. Things were not really good at that point. And in your mind, you're wondering, like, why are we doing this? Are we doing this because I'm in the situation that I'm in physically, health-wise? Are we doing this just for the children? There are a million things that flash through your mind. And then looking at that, like it gave, everything came to fruition, I guess. And then with talking to him, I was so angry. And I said the things that I guess people would say about this guy. I said, how could you do that? I've been there for you through all these years. I've given you my youth, all these other stuff like that. And then now when I need you most, when I'm ill, this is what you do. You're trolling online for women. Is that the respect you have for our relationship? That's how you love me? And his response, I'll never forget. He was apologetic, all this other stuff like that. But his thing was, this thing is so heavy. Like I needed to find, I needed to console. I needed someone else to, you know what I mean? Right. I just needed to be, I guess, someone else in order to not deal with this right here. Uh-huh. This is pretty heavy to deal with. So I just need to kind of just be this guy. I just need to meet this girl over here. And I'm just the average Joe. I'm just him. I'm not the guy that has the wife that has this. I'm not the guy that has done this and that to you in our relationship. That's what we talked about with that renewed state. I'm just a renewed kind of guy. I'm just Bob. And even though I was really upset by it, I got it.
Did you?
It took me a while.
Okay.
I had to get off Angry Street first. I was riding that pretty hard for a while. Yeah, I was riding my Maserati down Angry Street for a while, top down, hair blowing. I was pretty pissed. But I think in relationships, you tend to look at how things adversely affect you and how you're hurt by it. And it takes, boy, I had to put big girl panties on and step outside of my shoes for a second. I had to step into his and to figure out, even though he's not experiencing that, I had to get though how heavy that must be on someone else. And for this guy, I'm assuming this is what it is, to be with someone for all this time in your life, to always be that guy that has this girl. And now this girl will soon not be with this guy. Who will you be as a man without her? She's been the 0 in your 10 for such a long time, and now you're going to stand alone as a 1. How do you wrap your mind around that?
Wow.
How can you remove yourself with such a weight of being a caretaker, with being a nurse and watching this, and just go from that to kind of being out with someone with none of those things sitting on you? You're just Bob.
Yeah.
You're just kind of out. You're just letting her know who you used to be in high school, used to play football, the things that you enjoy, jazz music. You just get to be that guy. No expectations of what you should be. No expectations of this weight that you're supposed to carry as the good guy.
The renewed mind.
Yes, you just get to be. And that's a big temptation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
For anyone.
Definitely.
So I don't see you as a villain. I see you as just a person. I get
don't
it.
At all,
I think we want to villainize because of the situation that his wife is in, and guaranteed it's not cool.
And the thing is, when I say it's not a temporary situation, when I say that, it's, you're going through whatever she's going through, you're going through it with her.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about cancer, it's not something that it's like the cold, it's going to last a week.
No.
The fight is
it's
long.
Ongoing.
So it gets tiresome.
It's no right answer for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this person says, hey, I know that life is tough, but honestly, there's no reason to cheat. I totally sympathize with him. Obviously, it must be helping someone you love go through that. But damn, cheating is definitely not the answer. I agree. Cheating is now, to be honest, it definitely only adds to the complexity of the situation. It only adds yet another, part to this that's going to make the situation much more challenging. And, my thing is, oh boy, I understand.
Justifiable.
Boy, listen, if there was ever a case, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. But at the same token, my advice to you is I would cease and desist that until things have gone their course. The reason why I say that is a couple of things. You owe it to yourself. If you choose to venture into a new relationship, you owe it to yourself to do so without the blanket of a guilty conscience, without the blanket of, her finding that out in the stages that she's in, the hurt that's going to be added to the situation.
Right, because that brings on more stress.
Absolutely. She doesn't need that.
Yeah.
You've always been the good guy, and I get the weight of that alone is rough. But now, and people tend to, and even as good as you've been, this one act will tarnish all of it. As human beings, it's what happened, right? You can do 100 million good deeds in your life, and you mess up just the one time. People will always just remember that
unforgettable one.
That one mess up.
Yeah.
That's how people are.
Yeah.
That's how people are. But at the end of the day, enjoy the time that you have with her. You yourself have said that it's limited. Enjoy the bit of time that you have. And when you send her off and she's gone, you're able to enjoy and live with those memories. And when you begin again, you can begin again with a renewed state of mind and spirit. And you've released those things and they've gone with her. And you get to be light and you get to be easy. And for lack of a better word, you're now freed. She's free, and as you will be as well. But what you're doing now, I get the reasoning behind it as a human being.
No judgment.
No judgment.
None at all.
Get it. Been there and had it done too. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. So I totally get where you're coming from. But, obviously you wrote in because it's killing you.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why it's
killing you.
That,
right.
That's no easy situation.
And you have to talk to the person that you've been in this relationship you've been dealing with and let her know Listen, you were allowed to go through your process, what your process was with your husband. She's already gone through that process. She's been freed. He's been freed. She's gone through that process. And if she really cares about you, she will release you and allow you to go through your process. And if it's supposed to be what it is, then it'll be there. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's easier said than done, but it'll be there.
Yeah, that's a tough situation to be in.
Most definitely. There's no easy answer to it.
He sounds like he's a
good guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So, it's just the fact that, the action is just beating on him.
The lady said, this heart, that organ, I call it the great betrayer. It betrays you. It does.
Yeah.
And not always in the best. It does.
What's
I don't know.
Well, I guess
I could have to have a talk to mine. Yeah.
Huh?
I'm gonna have to have a.
Mine don't listen though.
It never does.
It don't listen like.
Can you imagine if your heart actually listened to what your mind wanted it to do?
But which one should you listen to though?
And then there's that.
Well, when it comes to relationships, what do you think?
It's hard to say because a lot of times if you allow logistics and your mind to take over, you will never get to experience the fantastic nuances that love offer. But if you remove your mind in totality, there your silly behind go off the cliff and into the most troublesome of waters.
So is it possible to create a balance?
It's possible, but now attaining and maintaining that is a whole other story. It's possible. It is. Because a lot of times the passion of the heart has driven people into doing things like Romeo and Juliet. I ain't want that kind.
I don't know that.
Y'all keep that over there, please. Yeah. I can need something little different over here.
I'll have a shot or something.
Yeah, I over here. Yeah. So it's possible to maintain balance, but it's not as easy as one would think. And I think as people, we're so judgmental on the things that people do. But I have learned never to say never. Don't say what you would do if you're in the circumstance because you have no idea. Not until you're in it. You could be the best person, but when things and he seems to be a good guy that loves his wife.
And that's why I say it's no judgment because
he seems to be a guy that loves his wife and he's invested and he's been there through all of her surgeries. He's been there through her treatment. He's been there. But he's fallen weak because of the things that he is in need of at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine making love to someone that you've loved for so many years and then that's been taken away for years on end? You miss the touch of someone, that the human aspect of things. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
That's not easy.
No.
That's not easy.
So it's been rough for him, and we say, well, he ain't going through it. He don't feel it. But in a way he is. And if you're empathetic and you're truly in love with someone, when they hurt, you hurt for them. You hurt for yourself because there's nothing that you can do to ease that hurt.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than that. It's like when your children fall or something happened to them, all you can do is bandage it or treat it. You cannot take the pain away from them. And as parents, that's what we most want to do. I'll fall for you. Let me hurt for you. Unfortunately, that's just not how life is designed. Yeah. They have to fall and hurt themselves in order to learn. It's what we did, and so shall they, and theirs after. Count this as a learning experience for yourself, sir. You're still a person, I think you needed to know that you were still a flesh and blood man that still feels, that still needed, still wanted. I think you needed that feeling. And now that it's been attained, you cannot take it back, obviously, but you can do different.
Yeah, but
that's a choice.
Don't let that
don't let it determine who you are. You're still a good guy. It doesn't make you an awful human being. You made a mistake. But here's the determinants now. Whether you will continue to make other mistakes that now become a choice, or will you choose now to do different? That's going to be the determination as to what happens here and after.
Yeah, definitely.
What's been done has been done. Nothing you could do about that. But you have to make a choice to do something different and be better now.
And be there for your wife.
Yes.
And don't let that,
Don't let that come in the way of this process.
Yeah, definitely.
So we all have those weak moments. Pick yourself back up and get back in the game. Put your head back in. And I think all will be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to have to learn to forgive yourself. Yeah. But you're going to have to forgive yourself, else you won't be able to function.
Right. And right now his wife needs him more than ever.
Yeah.
So, he has to be strong. So he doesn't need anything. He doesn't need the same week or a few weeks.
And I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it, and a lot of people are gonna be angry at me for saying it. I'm all for truth in your relationships. All for that. Yay, truth. But
That one need to stay.
there are certain times.
I know you have a little. That's what's the male hormone?
It's testosterone.
That's you got some testosterone on the tree right now.
There are certain times. There's this little black box. You gotta kind of put the good in that, lock that away, and you've got to put that away as something that has happened that you cannot change, and commit yourself to not doing so again. But you have to resolve in yourself that coming to light will do no one in this situation any good.
Because the thing is, he has to do it, and he has to do it for her, because you don't want to put any added stress on her situation.
This person and the lady in the situation doesn't need to be seen as that kind of person either. Understand? You know what I mean? Because that's how she'll be painted, no matter what. You've been through this. Like, how could you do that to someone else, knowing what it? You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So that's how she'll be viewed. Yeah. That's how she'll be painted. Yeah, so it will do no good for this to come to light for anybody. Right. That's my personal opinion. What you choose to do, obviously, is what you choose. But just the way I see it, I can't see any good with that coming forward for anybody. So this may be one of those rare times when you're just gonna kind of put that in the box, put that away, and let that just be. Pray on it if you got to. Come to some kind of universal kismet. Do whatever it is that you need to do. Not the universal
kismet.
I creating the ish today. Come to that and just let it do what it do. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got you.
That's just me, but that's what I say on that. Woo, that was a heavy one to end on.
Yeah, it was a pretty good show today.
But I definitely enjoyed it. I think we covered, quite a few things, but I think that there were important things. Absolutely. We definitely appreciate your voice today. It always makes a little something. Definitely. It adds to the show indeed. It was our pleasure being in your company. Do you have a nugget? This feels like a nugget kind of day. I know it's rough, right?
Yeah, it's rough. I just, what's coming to me is the fact that how we tend to judge so much as humans. And I just want to, throw out there, try not to be judgmental. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. I think JT, made point to that. And then the lady that called, she also said that, our heart.
Yeah.
She spoke
that
about
organ.
Heart,
yeah, boy.
And then the other caller, he talked about, the things that we talk about, he likes the show because a lot of things that we talk about,
you've gone through them
that we've gone through. So don't judge us either.
Please, and thanks.
But don't judge.
Yeah.
Don't judge person. Don't even judge yourself. I mean, we're just humans. That doesn't give right to make mistakes, but we're still.
But unfortunately, it's the makeup of what makes us human.
Right.
That they will happen. That's what life is. All right. So it's been wonderful. I think I will have to piggyback on that. Try to be less hard on yourselves as people, because know that being a human being means that you're fallible, and try to see your mate, try to see your friends, try to see your children, try to see people as people, and just that they all make mistakes, and give them an opportunity to make a different choice to do better and be better. And I think if we're all willing to do that, we'll be in a better place when it comes to love and relationships. That does it for us. Thank you for our live Facebook watchers, as well as those of you that have been listening in. We encourage you to continue to give voice. We've got, Freaky Friday, come back fast. Look, I just had my nursey hat on a couple of days ago. But we're going to be back, and we're going to talk about fantasies and how to create healthy fantasies and find balance between real life and fantasy life. So I need you to bring two of your best fantasies, one that you've lived and one that you still hope to delve into.
Be discussing it on air?
It depends on how bad it is.
Oh, I guess.
Anyhow, We're gone. Enjoy a great day. I'll
See ya.
still be with you with good music, but that's it for Love Jones right here on The Real Sound. We're Global 99.5. Bye, Mikey. Bye,
you later.
Candy. We're gone. Thanks, Nate, for being an awesome producer.
You've been listening to Love Jones. Catch it weekdays at 11 a.m. on The Candy Shop. See you next time.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily